Hey, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Tammy and I'm your host. And my goals for this podcast is threefold. It's to help you deepen your faith and your purpose alignment. It's to help you transform your mind and life for growth and to step into who God created you to be to create a lasting and fulfilling life and legacy. And let me tell you, it is really hard to be a spring in a fall season. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me tell you a little story first, and then I'll relate it back to what my topic is for the day. It's really hard to be a spring in a fall season. Earlier this year, with the advice of several of my friends and the idea that I'm not a big shopper, I don't love clothes shopping. I'm a mannequin shopper. If I see it, I'm like, oh, that looks cute. I'll just wrap it up. Like I'll take that. But I don't know always like what looks best on me or what styles and what colors. So my friends are like, Tammy, you need to go and have your colors done. And I was like, have my colors done? I mean, I get my hair done. What does this mean? And so I went to this amazing lady at the House of Color. She works out of her home, and it was such a fun experience. I walk in and there's a big board of all the colors, and all broken into seasons. And she's like, oh, this is what we're going to be working with. Have you ever done your colors before? And I was like, no. And she's like, do you know about this concept of defining your colors? And I was like, no. And so she's like, okay, well, this is going to be fun. Take a look. And is there a season that you are pretty sure you're not that season, or is there a season you're drawn to? And it's like, well, I love fall. I love the colors. I love the muted. I love the yellows and the oranges and the olive green. Like, give me a really great olive green anything, and I love it. And she's like, well, are there any seasons that you really don't want or that are not drawn to? I was like, spring. I'm not pastel. I am not bright. And she's like, okay. And so we started the process and, laying the different like scarves over. And I mean, it took a couple of hours. Like she did some work and she's like, which one do you like better? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. But push comes to shove. Guess what? I am a spring. And my friend Melissa was like, I knew that. And my hairdresser's like, that makes sense. And I was like, well, I didn't know. And so now when I go clothes shopping or now when I am trying to dress, one of the ideas is if you know what colors look best on you, those are the colors you're naturally drawn to picking because you're more confident in them. And it's also, you can spend less knowing that the colors that you pick are a great fit for you. And so here it is. This is my first fall and knowing that I'm a spring. And so I have been taking all of my warmer clothes for the warmer weather, and I've been pulling out my sweaters and all of my clothes for fall and winter. And I realized that I don't have a lot of spring colors for colder weather. And it's like, how do you dress for spring in the winter or in the fall? How do you pick this? And I get it. Right now you're like, Tammy, why are we still talking about this? But I wanted to talk about this because it's really hard being a spring in the fall season. It's really hard to pick those bright colors, the ones that I know that are best for me, that go with my skin, that bring out my eyes, like all of the things that she said, when I really want to just put on that olive green sweater that I feel cozy in. And a lot of times when we are on this pursuit of something we want, we have to choose what's best for us over what we want in the moment. I know that if I went and I bought spring colored sweaters, that I would look great in them, that I would feel confident in them. And honestly, I don't really dress for other people. That's not really, I dress to feel confident in myself. And when I do pick the things that I know I feel good in, my confidence does. And people are like, oh, that looks really great on you. And I think part of that is because I know it's like doing what's best versus what you want in that moment. And so, yes, I get it. Colors are trivial. Tammy, wear whatever color you want. I do. Okay. I'm not getting rid of all of my olive sweaters just because I look better in a bright green instead of an olive green. However, how many times do we look at our vision? Do we look at our goals? Do we look at what we really want? And we know that an action we need to take in order to get there is we have to do the thing that we need to do versus what we really want to do in the moment. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about this concept that in order to get what we want, we have to stay focused. We have to stay positioned in a way. We have to stay with our eyes at the prize, not in every shiny object that walks our way. Now, in entrepreneurship, let me tell you, entrepreneurship, small business ownership is hard. Over the last couple of years, you see all of the marketing and it's like, oh, I made $1 million in 2.5 weeks or I was successful. Okay, that might have happened a couple of years ago. Doubtful. They forget to tell you all of the things that they've done before that they may have made that, but they did a lot of work in a couple of years in order to make that in those 2.5 weeks. But the thing is that if we want to get to a destination, we have to stay focused on the path that we're on. And we can't let ourselves get distracted by momentary desires, by what other people are doing, by shiny objects. And so many times I see these webinars or I see these lists of like, what's working now? And for a little while, I was getting caught up in that. It's like, oh, let me see what's working now. And then there's one big shift, one quiet time moment that God said, okay, Tammy, you can figure out what's working for other people, or I can continue to tell you what's going to work for you. And if you stay true to the course of the path that we have laid out together, you're going to get your destination. It may take a little bit longer than you had hoped. It may be a little bit rougher than you imagined, but you'll get there. So many times we have to stay true to ourselves versus what the shiny thing is, what we want that's in front of us. And so this is what we're going to dive into today. And so there was a study done. I think I've even talked about this before, about success and some of the keys that successful people, some traits that successful people have. And one of the traits is self-discipline and being able to delay gratification. And so there's a study of these toddlers. These I think from the video, I think it was from like the 70s, I'm thinking, that they put a bunch of toddlers and they put a marshmallow. I was going to say mushroom, but what toddler will grab a mushroom? There's a marshmallow in front of them and they say, you can eat this now, but if you wait 30 minutes, which I get it, 30 minutes is ridiculous amount of time as a toddler. And I'm hoping I remember it right, but I'm pretty sure it was a long amount of time. It might've been 10 minutes, but even then, it was a long enough time that the toddler had to sit and look, and they're in a room by themselves. So there was and they say you can eat it, but if you wait, when this timer goes off, you can have 2 marshmallows. And so many times, and you see the difference in the kids who are like, they'll sit on their hands or they'll just like stare at the marshmallow. There's some kids who are, as soon as the timer starts, they pop that sucker in their mouth and they're done. Then you see the ones who wait and they're so close to the timer, but they don't see how much time they have left. And so that they eat it and then the timer goes off and they miss out on that second one. And then there's a few, very few, I think less than 20% actually waited till the very end and was able to get 2 marshmallows instead of 1. When they followed these individuals, these toddlers, and looked at them later in life, there was a direct correlation with the longer you waited and the more success you have. When it comes to our desires, when it comes to what we want, part of understanding who we are, how God wired us, is to really understand what our vision, what our goals, what our impact is, what our purpose is. And then we have to have the self-discipline to know what's for us and what's not. And to understand that this might be the what's seemingly harder course, or it may not seem like it's working. But because it aligns with who you are and what you want, then this is the path to stay committed to and not go to every possible other option, not change every time the wind changes, every time the culture changes, every time there's a new technique or a new strategy that's working. We get to choose to stay on the course. Now, there are times that we need to do a course correction. I'm not talking about those right now. And those are more intentional. Those are more impactful. Those are more curated and carefully chosen. What I'm talking about is the changing your mind every time something else is put in front of you. When you see something else that's working for someone else, when you see something that other people are doing and getting success, even if they're getting what you want, you and them are not the same person. You don't have the same background. You're not on the same path. So even if you did what they did, chances are you're not going to get what they got. And the vice versa. If they try to do what you're doing, chances are they're not going to get the same result that you're getting. And so let's talk about this for a few moments. Let's talk about what it can do for you and what is this understanding our strengths and our goals over our whims. And so here's 3 key points. 3 things that we are going to dive into is the self-awareness, which I talk about a lot, is the foundation for alignment. The more we understand ourselves, how God wired us, the path that we're on, the reason why we make the decisions we do, how to understand when we're in stress, what we avoid and what we run to, the more we understand ourselves, the more we can understand, is this a whim? Is this a momentary desire? Or is this actually going to get us what we want? Or is it worth staying the course, even if it seems hard, even if it's a long time, even if it means that we're bored with what we're doing? When we understand ourselves, it helps us to stay aligned, to stay focused on our path, on our journey and our destination. It helps us to see what we want and the impact that we want to make. So the next one is self-discipline. It's the bridge that between our desires and our legacy. The self-discipline. There are times that what we desire may be for us, but doesn't mean we need it in that moment. It may mean that we need to wait until this, and this is done, and then we have the permission. Then we can give ourselves that freedom to shift it up, to change it up, to do something different. But before we do something different, it's time to get consistent. It's time to make the commitment to ourselves, and it's time to have that discipline to keep going on the path that we need to go on. That direction, those goals, all the work you did to create your vision. Don't throw it all out the moment it seems hard or it seems like something else would work better. Now, like I said, you do need to be critical about it and say, okay, because there's times that it's like you didn't know what you didn't know. And if there's a tactic that does align that you can shift to, that's one thing. But if you start changing the goal, if you start changing your vision, if you start looking at and going from, I want to create, well, let's say bath salts. And then you're like, really right now, bath bombs are more popular. But you've been called to make the bath salts. Stick with it. There's a reason why. And then the third one is shifting from limiting beliefs to inspired action. That limiting belief that, when we look at like, this is not working, we look at that limiting belief of that we're not worthy of doing it this way, that someone else may know more than us, or they're more capable of making the decision than us. And this is where getting close with God is so important when you are on the entrepreneurial journey, when you are on the impact leaving journey, when you are creating a legacy that goes beyond yourself. You need to start with the man himself who is beyond eternity. And so when we start looking at our limiting beliefs and switching them around to inspired action, you want something. Okay, is it more important than what your purpose is? Is it more important than the impact that you want to make? Don't limit yourself, because when you start making that impact, a lot of times our desires follow. When you start getting that momentum and you see your vision, your goals come to life, your desires follow, and so do the things that you want. But many times we have that shiny object and it's like, well, I'm saving up for this course, or I'm saving up for this program that I know will change my life and my family's life. But I also see that, those nice shoes those are really fun. And I think I would really enjoy wearing them. A lot of times sacrifice is something we have to do for the greater good. And a lot of times the sacrifice we have to do is our desires in the moment for what we need in the moment. And so that's one thing is it a want, is it a desire, or is it something that you need? And you get to ask yourself that. And then you go with your answer. But sometimes it's like, okay, if I continuously go with my whims and my desires, is my why important enough for me? What is my limiting belief that's making me believe that I can't actually achieve it? That this God dream that He's put on my heart is not worthy, that I'm not worthy of going for it. Because I guarantee if God's put it on your heart, He's already made a way. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it's in your timing, but it means it's possible with Him. So let's talk about 3 side effects that from choosing your vision, choosing your ideal life over the shiny objects. One is confidence. And I know I talked early on about colors. I know that when I feel like I look good, when I've done my hair, when I have intentionally put on some clothes instead of just sweatpants and a t-shirt, which I typically wear, I feel different about myself. When I choose my long-term life versus that short-term desire, that whim or that Amazon whatever that I want, I start feeling more confident in what I want, in the life that I'm building. And so one of the big side effects that you're going to start experiencing from choosing you over your immediate desires is confidence. So every decision you make is like putting some coins in your evidence bank that you can and you're worthy of getting what you want. And so the closer you get to your ultimate desire, the more confidence you're going to have. The next one is sustainable fulfillment and peace. When you figure out what impact you want to make, the goals that you are leaning into, and the purpose you have, why God put you on this earth, fulfillment is in there. And it's sustainable because it doesn't mean it's hard all the time. It may be hard to get started. It may be hard in the moment as you're overcoming obstacles, as you're going through, fire by trial, trial by fire. And you're enduring some of these things and doing things that you've never done before. But that fulfillment that you're gaining is sustainable. And the peace that you feel knowing that you are making the choice for the life you want and the impact you want versus what you want in the moment. The shiny object, I can do this instead of that. And it may feel good in the moment, but how many times have you chosen that insignificant task over the one that may have been boring and may not have brought you instant gratification or instant fulfillment? But then you see that now you're further back than you were, that you were making that momentum in that one time that you allowed yourself to stray, knowing that your brain was saying like, oh, I really want this, but we should be doing that. How many times have you felt guilty after that? And so when you understand your self-awareness, when you understand your self-discipline, and you understand that this limiting belief of, oh, this will make me happy in the moment, when, okay, the moment is fleeting. And then, so this sustainable fulfillment and peace that you can feel as a side effect of choosing you, because choosing you and your impact and your purpose over this momentary desire is choosing you. You can say, Tammy, well, but you're getting what you want, but at the cost of something that you need and something that's going to bring a lot deeper connection, a lot deeper fulfillment. A lot is that moment versus the life. So you are choosing you when you choose what you need over what you want. And then the next one is the legacy and the impact. So one thing about our desires is they are like driftwood. They, have you ever seen driftwood, or if you watch a documentary, or you understand that driftwood drifts? There is no intended destination for driftwood. You can't say, like, it can get caught on the side and eventually the current will push it, but it is at the mercy of the current. And eventually will wash down to the ocean, and it will, unless someone stops it. Or you can be the lighthouse. You can see the impact that you want. You can see the end goal. And though you may not see it very clear yet, though you may not have a perfect picture of what it is, you know in your heart that it's worth pursuing. So this lighthouse of this vision that you've created, standing firm through every storm. And I talked about the last month we spent on vision and talking about how it is your lighthouse, how it's aligned with your purpose, your goals, the life that you want, the impact that you want to make. So if you stay focused on this decision, is it going to get me one step closer to the lighthouse? Or is this sending it to driftwood? You get to decide. And I just know that when you choose you, that lighthouse gets brighter. And the people around you see how strong you can be. And then all of a sudden, things start happening for you. And this thing that's hard, that you've been working really hard for, things start to line up properly because you've proven that you're willing to work for it. And so, no matter what your goals are, we all get these times that we're like, okay, we get the shiny object. We see how other people are doing it, and it looks easier, or it looks more fulfilling, or it looks like it's more successful than what we're doing. There's many times that I've had coaches who like, Tammy, if you would just give this up, you would see this. And I was like, yes. And I see that this is what I'm building. And so though that may be an easier way in the moment, I know that the foundation that God wants me to build is for this direction. And that's one, I heard one of the biggest compliments was my friend Julie, who told me, she's like, Tammy, that's one thing I know about you is the decisions you make are for the greater good, and you know who you are and what you want. And not that I make all the right decisions, because I don't. But I do know the decisions I make, I send through the filter of, is it the lighthouse step, or is it a driftwood step? Is it part of who I want to be, or is this a momentary whim that I'll feel good in the moment, but then I'm going to end up feeling guilty about because I took steps back from the lighthouse, from what I want. And so I want you to be able to confidently step into your decisions. I want you to confidently know what your vision, your goals, your impact, and your purpose is. Because when you're confident about what it is, those decisions of what should I do in the moment, and those decisions where this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do. It's a lot easier to choose what you need to do. All right. Well, with that, I hope that you learned something. If you haven't had your colors done, it's really fun to do, and it really does help save money. And my wardrobe is getting a lot more bright because I'm owning the fact that I'm spring. And I'm still mourning a little bit that I don't get to wear all of the maroons and the yellows. But the thing is that I know that the hot pinks and the bright blues look better on me anyway. And so when push comes to shove, what I want and what I need is actually the same thing. All right, friend, I am so thankful you're here. I would love to chat with you. I would love to get on a Zoom call and talk about what's possible for you. If you are stuck on what you want and what you need, if you know that you have a legacy inside of you, if you have been on this entrepreneurial journey and you're like, Tammy, I am stuck, I'm overwhelmed, give me a call. Like, get on my calendar, because that's what I love to do. I love to help you see and start to filter out who God created you to be. what your purpose is, what your core talents, your strengths, your gifts, and how the opportunities you've had in your life have honed those and how to step into them even stronger. And so get on my calendar. I would love to chat with you. And well, I guess it's happy November because we are in November now. And well, we got Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all the things. And if you want your 2025 to look different than your 2024, if you want to step into even more of who God called you to be, that you are, even if you're experiencing success and you're like, what's next? Let's chat, because I have such big goals, big aspirations for 2025, and I can't wait to share them with you. I can't wait to hear yours, and let's do this together. All right, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.